the digital control grid. And I keep telling you, there's no way. There's no like going to Switzerland and getting away from this. If you don't push back and stop it, we're all going to be slaves. We are dealing with a central bank reset. And this reset, the central banks reset the system every sort of 80 to 120 years is my read of things. And we're in they got together in 2018 and looked at a plan from a group of central bankers working through the BlackRock Institute called Going Direct. And if you come to Solari, we have a great deal of information about the Going Direct reset. And so we're going to reset, but this reset is different than all the other resets, and I'll tell you why. It's very important. This reset, because of digital technology, they can literally end currency and implement a financial control grid, which is the equivalent of slavery. If you look at why they canceled the African slave trade, it solves all the problems they had then that caused them to cancel it. And slavery, we know historically, is the most profitable business. So this gives them the ability to literally implement a complete control grid. And so it's the end of currency. And we've never seen that before. Resets, changes, flushes, moves the currency. But now we're talking about ending currency as we know it. It's quite remarkable. In other words, we are evolving from a central banking warfare model, with markets and capitalism, to a control grid that basically turns the, I use Whitney Webb's word, it turns the planet into a panopticon.
Right.
It's a prison. So we go from a status of human to a status of slave.
Yes. Yeah.
Basically, you're looking at mega rich versus everyone else. And mega rich is looking at the situation and saying, we want total central control. And so we want a slave-free system. There'll be plenty of mind control because slaves who don't know they're slaves are more profitable. But if you look at the system, it's designed to basically extract as much value from each person. So no one has any rights and nobody has any right to, we have no human rights and no property rights.
You own nothing and you've never been happier. So it's the web plan, right?
Right. So first of all, you got to see the game. And the reality is the things that are destroying your city, are centrally organized and controlled. And if you want to push back on the third rail, you've got to bring transparency to that, and you've got to deal with that and not get ping pong back and forth in the uniparty game. It's a real competition in the uniparty, and that is who gets the right to grift and steal this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it was very interesting that, for example, that Trump, and so did Biden, by the way, classified anti-capitalism as a political, pre-crime.
Trump is going to jail. If that's a crime, Trump's going to jail. Yeah. I've never met a more anti-capital. He is our most anti-capitalist president yet.
Like, is it his opinion?
Let's go back to the mega rich versus everything else.
Mm-hmm.
You have Bibi Netanyahu running all over the Middle East, according to Tucker Carlson, telling people that he controls America.
Yeah, that's not new. Yeah.
Right. So I think if you look at the syndicate that's doing Gaza, they see Gaza as near success, and they're ready to do Europe and the United States.
Mm.
And you've got to get a digital ID, you've got to get programmable money, and you've got to get enough shredding of the Constitution so that you're free to rock and roll. So if you want to bring Gaza to America, it's digital ID, programmable money, and compromise of the constitutional protections on due process. And First Amendment, Second Amendment, you're trying to shred the Constitution, and you're trying to get the MAGA group to support you in doing that. We always come through one of the elections, and people get their hopes up about things which are not, they get false hopes, and they don't want to let it go because it makes life unbearable if they have to give up their false hope.
Yeah.
And so you get a false hope that someone in the White House here's the thing, that machinery is centralizing control. The reason that Solari has invested so much time and effort in working with the states is because there's still more latitude at the states, and the states have lots of power under the Constitution. So, and that's why Israel just took 250 state legislators,
right,
to Israel. Now they're working the states too. So there is something that can still be done. And, part of getting people distracted by the uniparty at the federal level is you want to keep them on the couch and entertained and away from pushing back on the third rail. Okay.
Right, circuses, yeah.
Right. So here's the thing. If we want to have a revolution tomorrow, imagine by the end of the year if we could get 50% of the people in the country using cash.
Mm-hmm.
You can't implement a digital control grid. Let's say everybody in Tennessee and the states where you can do this, 45 states, goes back into their DMV and says, I don't want a real ID on my on my license. You know, either I don't travel internationally or I'll get a passport, or I don't fly, I'll get a passport. And 50% using cash. And not only using cash, but using that cash to buy fresh, nutritious food that makes them strong and vital and healthy.
On the local farm.
On the local farm, and finding the local health practitioners that they can trust so they don't go to the hospital and get euthanized, you know, unexpectedly. So there's a great deal we can do. And it's that if we see clearly this is the mega rich versus everyone else, you know, forget Donald Trump. If we made Ryan Christian the president of the United States, you would find yourself in the Oval Office with basically guns pointed at your head that if you don't help the criminal syndicate, you'll be shot or your family will be shot, right? So that's not a solution.
Right.
And it's not, you know, if you went into the Oval Office tomorrow and your hands were tied, I would still love you because you're great, right? But you can't, it doesn't matter how much I like Ryan Christian, there's nothing he can do.
There's other ways to make a difference and change things than going through the broken political system.
Well, but here's the thing. We control. If we push back on the third rail, they can't implement the digital control grid.
I agree.
That's the little secret here. Don't get lost in the theater. We have the power to change this.
100%.
Yeah, but you have to get back. You got to get off the couch, and you have to start using cash, and you have to say, I'm going to make sure my family is healthy and my family is well. And you got to do those things. You got to take responsibility to learn about food and learn about health and let go of the old system.
We can absolutely do something about this, and I really do believe that.
Walk out of the theater and start living.
Exactly.
Walk out of the theaters. If you stay in the theater, we're doomed. If you walk out of the theater and start, you know, building the world we want to live in, we're fine.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 10. It reads, For as the rain cometh down, and the snow from heaven, returneth not hither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower, and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return void unto me, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp here in Trinidad with another edification, another lesson to the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So first and foremost, Kal Halayam La Alahayanawa Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rakah Kodash Barakata Yahweh Barakata Yahushai Barakata Yahweh Barakata Yahushai Barakata Yahweh Barakata Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles and bishops and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Shalom unto the brothers who preaching and teaching the truth through the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and the freedom to do so no more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled Israelites, and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwat, which is the sisters that listen and learning. Let me tell you something, huh? Get this and get it now. Pursuant to this understanding here that you're about to get. No amount of protest and self-will, however you want to put it, can stop this prophecy. I'm saying it again. No amount of protest, all right, and or self-will can stop this prophecy. No amount of protest, no amount of petition. Yeah, you could have 20 million names signed to a petition. You could try to boycott wherever you want to boycott, this, that, the other, or encourage to boycott, whatever. Nothing that you try to do, yeah, you mortal man, whether it be Jake, or whether it be any of you, all of the heathen nations, all right? Nothing that you could do, or try to do, or want to do, or perceive yourself to do, could stop this prophecy pursuant to Revelation chapter 13, verse 15, 16, 17. All right? No, nothing could stop it. You trying to stop it is actually you coming up against the will of the Most High, because this prophecy is of the will of the Most High. That's the reason why I start with this scripture here. Because Revelation 13, verse 15 going all the way down to 18 is prophecy. All right? That is prophecy. Okay? That is prophecy. And there's nothing that you could do to stop prophecy. Because if it be so, then you're making the Most High a liar. You're making the word of the Most High. You're making the Most High to be a liar. Or the world say the Most High himself made himself a liar. All right? Because he said this would happen, but here it is. Man, mere mortal man, managed to stop his prophecy. Oh, please. Oh, please. Nothing could stop this. The mark of the beast is about to hit upon the face of the earth. All right? The stage is already set by the way of digital IDs and the CBDC. All right? Which is the gateway for the ultimate agenda, the ultimate plan, which is the MOTB, which is the mark of the beast is what? The RFID microchip and the brain implant. All right, the Neuralink brain implant and all these other brain-computer interface, the chips, right? These chips that they put in the brain for brain-computer interface, BCIs. All right? Yeah, that is the mark of the beast. And there is nothing that you could do that could stop it from being accomplished upon the face of the earth, because it is the will of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai. That's pretty much what it is. You understand? That's pretty much what it is. This is the book of Isaiah 46. And I will start at verse 9. Isaiah 46 and 9. Where it reads, bear with me, where it reads, remember the former things of old, for I am Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai power, and there is none else. I am power, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning. All right? Declaring the end from the beginning. All right? And from ancient times, the things that are not yet done. All right? Saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Yeah? My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. There's what it is. So there's nothing that you could do or want to try to do, or whatever the case may be, you understand, that could offset this prophecy that has to take place upon the face of the earth. Yeah? Calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executed my counsel from a far country, yea, I have spoken it, I will also bring it to pass. Yeah? Yeah, I have purposed it, I will also do it. And Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai, he stands by it. What the scripture say? Let me see if I could get that particular scripture. It's in Psalms. I can't remember exactly the chapter in Psalms. I put my word. Yep. Psalms 138 and 2. Let's go to that. Let's take a quick look at that. Let's take a quick look at that. Psalms 138 and 2. Psalms 38 and 2, it reads, I will worship towards thy holy temple and praise thy name for thy loving kindness and for thy truth, for thou hast magnified thy word above all thy name. All right? With the scripture say in Proverbs that kind of paraphrase that a good name is better than riches. That is in Ecclesiastes. All right, that Proverbs, Ecclesiastes 7 and 1 and Proverbs 22 and 1. Let's take a look at any one, either one. I'll go to the Ecclesiastes 7 and 1. Ecclesiastes 7 and 1, it reads, a good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. Alright, let's check out the Proverbs also. Let's check out the Proverbs. Where is you? Proverbs 22 and 1. Proverbs 22 and 1, it reads, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshua, he put his word over his name. Alright, so which means he stand by his word. And his word magnifies his name because he stands by his word. So there is nothing that you could do to try to say about you, we need to fight back and we have the power in our hands and this and that and yeah. Hey, you and have no, whatever power you have is by the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Alright? And no one in this face of this green earth here, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai's green earth here, has the power to stop any of his prophecies. Even for the mark of the beast for that matter. Alright? This is what it is. No one can stop the will and prophecy of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. This is what he had purposed. This is what he had spoken from the beginning of times. Alright? His counsel will stand. You or anyone for that matter trying to say they could stop this is you just coming up against the Most High God. That is what it is basically. Yeah, that is what it is basically. Alright? These people are hell-bent on getting the New World Order and trying their best to accomplish the New World Order. Alright? And they are moving quick and fast. They are moving quick and fast. Alright? And they are going about by any means. Alright? That's why, again, as we've been saying, they've been passing executive orders and whatnot, so forth, overriding the Constitution and all these things, in Babylon the Great, all right, in order to facilitate their agenda. And you see, the thing about it is, this goes for the whole world for that matter, all right? This goes for the whole world for that matter. Especially us here in the Western Hemisphere. This is what you get. This is what you get for being fooled by the term democracy. All right, this is what you get. This is what you get for your democracy. You people, all right, whether it be you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, whether it be you Elamites, which is the so-called East Indians, all right, whether it be Esau Edom, the lower level of Esau Edom, all right, this is what you get for drink. This is the tongues that you get for drinking that Babylon juice, all right, those philosophies. All right, that wine, drinking that wine. All right, being drunk off of that wine of democracy. This is what you get for democracy. All right? Because we always tell you all, democracy it goes into demonic rule. All right? Democracy is just a farce. It's just a blatant lie. However they try to describe democracy for you, best believe what I'm telling you, it is a lie. Because what democracy is really about, the truth about democracy is what? The truth of democracy is actually overriding your constitution. All right? Being a republic is actually living according to your constitution, going by your constitution. All right? Your constitution is what you stand for, what you stand by, what you live by, your laws. All right? Your laws are the inception of your nation. All right? But democracy, when you choose to go the route of democracy, all right, it brings in for a lot of evil changes. All right, it makes room for a lot of evil changes towards your status of republicanism. All right, because now with democracy, it have something what? It have a process of what? A process of exercising that franchise voting. All right, so basically, if because of democracy, you know, let's take the alphabet people for example. All right. Remember, we had laws pursuant to the alphabet lifestyle that is against the alphabet lifestyle and whatnot, so forth. But because of democracy, you know, the ones who hate the fact that, you know, there's laws against them because of the lifestyle that they're living. Because of democracy, they could take the avenue of democracy now and raise up an argument, you know, against the laws, the constitution, because the constitution which came into existence from since the inception of the nation, it hampers their lifestyle. All right, it hampers their lifestyle. So now, because of democracy, okay, they can be able to go to court now and fight against those laws and whatnot, so forth, and make the government, you know, squash those laws, whatnot, so forth, so that they could be comfortable in their skin, all right, to go about in their wicked lifestyle. So now, let's switch it now. Pursuing towards the mark of the beast, pursuing towards the MOTB, pursuing towards the digital ID and what have you, so forth, so forth. All right? Because of democracy, okay? Because of democracy, the government now could override the constitution in order to infringe on the people's rights and sovereignty and what have you, so forth, to bring about a whole draconian measure, all right? A whole draconian measure in order for they to come about with their true agenda. This whole MOTB system, this whole digital system, with all its policies and whatnot, so forth, you know, social credit score system, blockchain technology, all right? And the list goes on and on. What they call this thing, carbon footprint, the measuring of carbon footprint, and all these things that is attached to this beast system. It's all by the way of democracy. Democracy made room for it. What you all were taught as for pursuing towards democracy, that was judgment lies, man. That was blasted lies, man. That's why the scriptures say, that Jeremiah, I think it's 50:7, I believe. No, not 50. Let me see 51. Yeah, Jeremiah 51:7, where it reads, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. All right, and who's that Babylon is speaking about? America. Okay, it is speaking of America, not ancient Babylon. Okay, it is speaking of America. Right? Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. And what is that? What is that wine? Her philosophies. And what is the main thing within her philosophies? Democracy. All right? And because of democracy, you could have alphabet lifestyle. You could have what do you call this thing? Idol worship. All right? Adultery, thievery, bribery, robbery. All right? All these things because of democracy. All right? So it says, therefore the nations are mad. All right? Therefore the nations are mad. So what we see now, the people, they are crying out. All right? A lot of the people now are crying out because they're actually seeing what they are walking into, what they are actually being ushered into. All right? There are a lot of people that is waking up and seeing what they're actually being ushered into, to the point where they're having the notion that they could fight back, they could actually fight back against this thing. But no, you cannot fight back. This is the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. This is the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You understand? This is something that has to take its course. And not only has to take its course, it will take its course, because it is the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. The man said his counsel shall stand. Who could stop the will? Who could resist the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai? Alright? There was a word that she had said, Miss Austin Fitz had said, that was the lady who was speaking, pursuant towards this whole digital system that is coming. All right, let me see if I could go into that word, because that word was interesting. All right, that word was an interesting word. Panopticon. All right. All right. Panopticon, it says a panopticon is a design for an institutional building like a prison. Woo! Woo-wee! Yeah? A panopticon is a design for an institutional building like a prison where cells are arranged in a circle around a central observation tower. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Because this is what this whole digital system is all about. All right? Putting you in a whole digital prison and enslaving you. All right? Enslaving you. So now, you're in that prison, you're being enslaved, and you have to go by every rule and law, all right, which is actually going to be governed by something called what? A social credit score system. Go look up on what is a social credit score system. Go into the in-depths of it. You understand? So basically, you're in a digital prison. All right? When you take that digital ID, watch me, when you take that digital, when you go and get that digital ID, again now, I'm repeating it again, the digital ID that is going to be receiving from the government on your devices, your smart devices, it is not the mark of the beast, but it is the gateway, it is the trap that is set for you to receive the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip that will be inserted into your hand or into your forehead. Okay? There is what it is. So basically, When you take that, when you get that that ID, the digital ID, you literally fall into the trap now, because the government is making it mandatory that you have to get the ID in order for you to continue to be in society, be accepted in society. All right, to get your salary. In order for you to get your salary, to do your banking transactions. All right, to be able to pay your taxes, to be able to receive whatever benefits that you have to get from the government and whatnot, whether it be disability, all right, social welfare, whatever it may be. All right, whatever it may be. All right. So you're entrapped, and when they come with when they crash that economy, all right, when they crash the economy, and they come with the RFID microchip, all right, it is going to come with the same measures, but even more powerful. Right? This is what it is here. Okay, so when they come with this thing here now, when they come with this thing now, remember you don't have the ID. So now you're forced to make that grave decision in what you're going to do now. All right? This is where Revelation 13:15 comes into play, which I will get in a bit. So it says a panopticon, all right, is a design for an institutional building like a prison where cells are arranged in a circle around a central observation tower. All right, what goes in that observation tower goes into the what? Into the AI technology. All right, monitoring everything, the AI technology and what have you, so forth, with the blockchain technology monitoring every single thing. All right, the people inside the cells can be seen from the tower. All right, can be seen from the tower, but the guard in the tower is hidden from view. All right, which is the elites, the bankers, the elite bankers. All right, watching your every move. That's why they have cameras all over, the camera system all over and whatnot, so forth. You understand? They're coming with the 15-minute cities, all right, where you have to stay within that 15-minute city radius, or else if you go beyond that, you cannot do any purchases or whatnot, so forth, because your chip wouldn't work. All right, your chip wouldn't work beyond your 15-minute radius that they give to you. All right, it says but the guard in the tower is hidden from view, leading to a feeling of constant surveillance, originally conceived by English philosopher Jeremy Bentham in the 18th century. The panopticon is now used as a metaphor for modern surveillance, where individuals modify their behavior because they believe they are being watched, even if they, oh boy. And this is where your social credit score system is going to come into play now. All right, this is where your social credit score system is coming into play, because now you know you're in a position, all right, where Big Brother is constantly watching you. All right. That's why as I said, they're coming with the camera surveillance system. All right, with facial recognition and whatnot, so forth. So they always monitor your facial expressions and whatnot, so forth. Hey, this is a living dystopian nightmare that this world is coming into, and a lot in you all don't even have the slightest clue. All right, a lot in you all don't even have the slightest clue that you all are heading into a dystopian nightmare. And it's a sad situation for you, Jakes. I can care less about these other nations. My concern is of you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. I can care less about the other nation, the Chinese man, the Arab, the so-called white man, the stinking dog Africans, the East Indians. My concern is not of them. My concern is of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. And a lot of you all are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. This is what it is here. All right? And to some of you all who are actually waking up to what is actually taking place, you all think that you all could petition your way out of this thing and protest your way out of this thing. Yeah, you sadly mistaken, man. You sadly mistaken. Because you know what is going to reach the point of this here. Let's go to the scripture here. Let's go to the scripture here. I will come to the blue letter, or I could read it in red letter, which is Luke 19. Luke 19 and 42. Luke 19 and 42 I will start at. And you know what? I will read it in the NLT. All right? I'll read it in the NLT. Luke 19:42 NLT, it says, but as he came, all right, yeah. But as he came closer to Jerusalem and saw the city ahead, he began to weep. All right, this is who? Yahushua, who the world ignorantly and stupidly calls Jesus Christ. Verse 42, it says, this is him speaking here, how I wish today that you of all people, you Israelites of all people, would understand the way to peace. All right, which is rest, which goes into rest, which goes into the kingdom of heaven. All right, going back to our land, Israel, our nation, our land, our true land. All right, which is Israel. All right, but now it is too late. All right, now it reached a point where it is too late for a lot of you all, because a lot of you jakes are too far gone that you all cannot wake up to the understanding of this truth. This message of salvation that we are given unto you. All right, through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, not of our own will, but of the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right? It says, but now it is too late, and peace is hidden from you. Before long, your enemies will build ramparts against your walls. All right? And encircle you. When they go into, just yesterday, Brother Yakal was going into it, all right, and the works, he was doing the works, and he was explaining the ramparts, all right, when they go on. A matter of fact, let's go to that. Let's go to that. All right, ramparts. All right, ramparts, it says, a defensive wall or a castle, Salakia, or wall city having a broad top with a walkway and typically a stone. That's not. Let me see. Let me see something here. All right, good. So basically, you're being blocked in. All right, you're being cornered, you're being boxed in. And this is what the system is doing. This is what the government is doing by the orders of the elites. All right, this is what they are doing. They are literally boxing you in. All right, a first instance of that being boxed in, all right, was a couple years ago with the great sickness that was taking over the whole world. All right, the C19 that was taking over the whole world. All right, and how they was boxing in to take the antidote, because remember they had the antidote. And how they was boxing in? They was boxing in by a job. They was boxing in by a pension. Who don't take the antidote, they can't receive the pension. They can't receive the salaries. They can't receive this. They can't get this. They can't do this. They can't do the other. They can't go into restaurants. They can't go into cinemas. They can't go to nowhere. They cannot do nothing because you're not complying. All right, and it's the same thing with this digital ID that is going to be transformed into, it is going to transcend into what? Into the MOTB, the RFID microchip. Where if you don't have the chip, all right, you cannot receive your salary, you cannot receive, you cannot be able to drive, you cannot be able to do nothing, All right? And worst case scenario, which is going to come, is that he's going to be labeled a domestic terrorist. Because they will watch you as someone that is against the state. You are a rebel against the state and its policies. You see how serious this thing is? Wow. So it says, verse 43, Luke 19:43, it says, before long your enemies will build ramparts against your walls and encircle you and close in on you from every side. They will crush you into the ground and your children with you. All right? They shall be like madmen sparing none, pursuing to 2 Ezra chapter 16, I think it's verse 72 or something like that. All right? Your enemies will not leave single stone in place, will not leave a single stone in place because you did not accept your opportunity for salvation. Why? Because it is going to reach the drastic point where it's not going to be going to be optional anymore for you to take this thing. It is going to be mandated that you take it, and if you don't take it, you're going to be put to death, literally. Literally. All right? Kicking down your doors, putting rifles to your head, your family's head, and forcing you. Days where Revelation 3 and 10 comes in, puts you into the hour of temptation. What you gonna do? You're gonna succumb to the system, or you're gonna resist? By the way, through the power and spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahshai and choose death. Rather than trying to say, and hey, oh my goodness, that hey, Tawara Yahweh Hashem Yahshai, which goes into Matthew 10 and 35, I believe. No, let me see. Bear with me, huh? That's no boy. Where is our scripture, boy? Bear with me. I know it's not 34. All right. Yeah, this is Matthew 10 and 39 actually. All right, Matthew 10:39. This is the scripture. Yeah, Matthew 10:39, where it reads, "He that findeth his life shall lose it." Yeah. So you trying to say you could fight back and push back and protest and whatnot, so forth. All right, and feel well you could war the government. All right, war the state because of the draconian measures that they implemented by the way of this mark of the beast, the RFID microchip being mandated and what have you, so forth. If you think that you can war against the government, well, all right. What the Lord said, he that findeth his life shall lose it. All right? And he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. So basically, this is what it is. What choice will you make when that time comes? When a rifle is being pointed to your head, or your head is underneath the blade of a guillotine, are you going to give in and succumb to the system and take that chip? Or are you going to say, to hell with it, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai? You understand? This is what it is. That's why when you go to the book of Acts, chapter 5, yeah, Acts chapter 5 and 30. All right, so this is Acts chapter 5, and I will go straight to the point. All right, this is Gamaliel's counsel pursuant to Peter when they were before the high priest and what have you, so forth. You know, for preaching the name of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, you know, because they were strictly ordered not to preach in that name and what have you, so forth. All right, so going to start here at verse 33. All right. Acts 5 and 33, it reads, when they heard that, they were cut to the heart and took counsel to slay them. All right, because Peter and them let them know, hey, we ought to obey God rather than man, you understand? And we're going to continue to preach in that name. All right? Then it says here, then stood there one up in the council, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law, had in reputation among all the people, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space. So he told them, he said, let them step aside, whilst him and the rest of the Pharisees and whatnot, so forth, was contemplating to kill Peter and what have you, so forth, He put them in a little convo, and he said, and said unto them, ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. For before these, and this is the point where I'm trying to get at here, all right, for before these rose up Thaddeus, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who were slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. All right? So these were self-willed men trying to go up against the Roman Empire, all right? Because at that time, we was under Roman rule, Roman occupation and Roman rule and what have you, so forth, all right? And, it had men who feel, they could go up against the ruling government at that time, the ruling government at that time and what have you, so forth. It says, verse 37, it reads, after this rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of the taxing. All right, you will get account of that in Luke chapter 2. All right, in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. All right, he also perished, and all even as many as obeyed him would disperse. All right, so this is the situation here. If you feel you could go up and war against the government and fight against the government and whatnot, so forth, all right, hey, you're going to lose. You're going to lose miserably. All right, you're going to lose miserably. You're going to lose miserably. This is what it is. So it says, and now I say unto you, refrain from these men, and let them alone, leave them alone, for if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. And this is the thing. This counsel that you all keeping, pursuant to this digital ID system, this whole beast system that is about to come crashing on you all head tops, it is going to come to naught. Because that is not the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Where for man to think and say they could and fight against the system to stop this and whatnot, so forth. You could do jack squat, what? You're going to get crushed. Best believe that is a promise. That is a promise. And I stand by that promise. You're going to get crushed. You really think these elites care about who protests? Just the other day, just this week, just last week, Salakia. Just last week I had a big protest in England pursuant to the same digital ID business here. Where how much and so much of people came out. But you really think the Prime Minister of England care about who come out to protest? And how much petition sign and all of that and whatnot, so forth. They could give two squats. They could give two shits about that. Because you know why? They are in the power seat right now. They hold the trump card right now. They are the ones that is ruling. This is what it is. It is in the power of their hands to do so. Because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, He gave them the power. So it's only He could break it down. He will break it down. But this have to come to pass first. That's why he says in In Job, let's go to that. Job 5 and 12. Job 5 and 12, it reads, Job 5 and 12, it reads, he disappointed the devices of the crafty. What is that device? The RFID microchip, the mark of the beast. So that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. What is their enterprise? Their new world order, where every man, woman, and child upon the face of the earth is tagged with a microchip, being connected to their beast system. You no longer being you. You no longer being you, but being a blasted cyborg. Being connected to the internet. You literally connected to you literally being a friggin' walking Wi-Fi. That is what it is. This is what it is. You connected to the Internet of Things via the Internet of Bodies by having that chip. All right? Internet of Things goes into what? To AI technology. Go into you connected to basically you is a walking friggin' computer, man. That is what it is. You connected to your fridge, your smart fridge, your smart TV. All right? I think we are not about smartphones. Smartphone gonna be obsolete. Smartphones gonna be obsolete. That is why it has something called the BCI, the brain computer interface. All right? Go look up these things. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. See the times that you're living in. That's why the scripture says measure the times diligently within itself, man. This is what it is. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. I would leave with these last couple of scriptures here. All right, last 3 scriptures here, and that will be the first one. Will be Ecclesiastes 12 and 1. Ecclesiastes 12 and 1, it reads, remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Seek Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai now while he may be found, you Jakes, you Israelites, because we are living in a time where the earth has never seen before, where great evils upon the face of the earth that is about to take place in 1,000-fold. And if you're not under the blood of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, not Jesus, no Christ, that wicked, that white God, that wicked Edomite God that they give you to serve from slavery, from since the inception of slavery, all right, so-called white man, which is actually Cesare Borgia, all right, but that is a whole other thing by itself, a whole other topic by itself, yeah? But his name is Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah. So seek him and seek his father while in thy youth, as in while you still have time. That is why the scriptures say, in Sirach, let's go to that, Sirach 5 and 7, it reads what? Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. But you know what? With a lot of you all so far gone. You all trust in the system. You all believe in this thing called democracy. Yeah, you all believe in this thing called democracy. That you all are walking into a trap and you all can't even see it. That's why I would leave with this last scripture, going back to the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 1. Isaiah 30:1, woe to the rebellious children, say the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. You know what they take counsel in? They take counsel in PNM. They take counsel in UNC. They take counsel in Democrat and Republican, Labour Party and Conservatives. That is who they take counsel in. They take counsel in the so-called white man. All right, they take counsel in the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. That is who they take. That is who you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians take counsel in. You all take counsel in Kamala, that wicked puta. Yeah, you dumb Negroes in front of the Red House the day on the budget. Yeah, you dumb Negroes and in front of the Red House, but talking about when UNC win, everybody win. What's what going on with you all? People lost and walk left, right, and center. Left, right, and center. People lost and walk. This, that, yeah, all kind of thing taking place. Yeah. Pretty soon we on the brink of facilitating a war where America and Venezuela is concerned. Pretty soon we going and facilitate that. I told you all. We told you all this. There's videos. I had to look for it. Yeah, a firework had to go off on that. There's videos that I constantly warn, especially after the fall of Assad, Bashar al-Assad, the former president of Syria, when he fell, when he was ousted out of power and had us to flee. And I said specifically, the next target is Iran. That is the seven out of the 7 nations that they wanted, that they conspired to conquer. And I said, not only with Iran, we cannot forget Venezuela. They're going to come with something that was just is either late last year. Let me look up something. I will be precise. I will be precise. When was Bashar right? So good. He was ousted December the 8th, 2024. So I had done some videos. Right around that time period there. I had done some videos right around that time period there, either within December into January. Right? So I can remember myself and Brother Nagad, Big Brother Nagad was speaking. And I said, Nagad, the throw down Bashar al-Assad. So now, the trap that the Lord set, as I say, I see it through the Spirit, pursuant to, I think it's Jeremiah 49:20. Let me see if I can get that. Because I want to be on point. I don't want to mislead. Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah 49:20, you know. Or 24, something like that. Let me see. No, not this one here. Let me see if it's Jeremiah 50. Yeah, Jeremiah 50:24 actually. Where it reads, Jeremiah 50:24, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, right, which is America, and thou was not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. All right, through the Spirit, you know, I see it as that snare being Iran, all right, because pursuant to prophecy, pursuant to Ezekiel 38, all right, pursuant to Gog and Magog, which is Russia, and Persia, which is Iran, all right. Because they had an agenda, America, along with Israel and NATO and EU, to conquer 7 particular Arab nations, all right, Muslim nations, all right, and Iran was in the mix. Iran was the last, so they get rid of 6 out of the 7. Iran is the 7, all right. And I spoke to Nagara and I said, yes, they're going to deal with Iran, but don't get it twisted. They ain't finished with Venezuela yet. And what we see now, What we seeing now? What are we seeing now? Tell me. When UNC win, all are we win. Yeah? You all gonna see what is coming to Trinidad. Watch and you go see. You all gonna see what is coming to Trinidad. So I'm going back to the last scripture, what I was reading, and lock this off. Isaiah 30:1, woe to the rebellious children, say the Lord, I take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Yeah? That walk to go down into Egypt. This Egypt it is speaking about is the system. It is twofold, because it was literal Egypt, because going into the history of it, this was pursuant to the Babylonian conquest, where the Babylonians was about to conquer Jerusalem and what have you, so forth, and letting us flee to go down into Egypt to seek help from the Egyptians to get rid, to oust the Babylonians. But what did the Lord do? The Lord used the same Babylonians to conquer Egypt. All right, Pharaoh Necho was the ruler at that time in Egypt. All right, so it says that walk to go down into Egypt. All right, which basically means the system. All right, because I say twofold, the scripture here, and have not asked at my mouth, that strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, which is who? The system, the rulers. All right, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore, the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion, because the same system that you want to trust in and hold on to and hang on to, yeah, that same system is going to come back and bite you in the ass by the way of a RFID microchip. Yeah, and you're being encircled into a pan-octagon. Digital slavery in your ass. Yeah? Digital slavery in your ass. Yeah? You can't be able to buy what you want to buy. Yeah? Because if you feel when that CBDC come out, that central bank digital currency, if you feel and think that you could be able to go and buy whatever you want to buy, you're sadly mistaken. Yeah? You're sadly mistaken, because the CBDC, all right, is basically programmable money, where the government, the powers that be, is going to program that money in a way for you to spend it how they want you to spend it, not how you want to spend it. So if you feel you're going to buy this and that and the other, buy sneakers and Jordan and whatever you want to do, whatever is your vice, whatever, you sadly mistaken. Hey, so I hope that you always edified through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Campaign Trinidad, signing out, saying Kal Halayam, La Alahayanawa, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, the bishops, the elders, a great millstone that rule well. Salutation unto the brothers who preaching, teaching the truth through the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and the freedom to do so no more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites, who may look like the other nation, but are Israel through their forefatherly lineage. Shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwat, which is his sisters that listening and learning. Until then, Wabad babal unto this wicked place, boy. It must fall. It must fall. It will fall. Shalom, Yashala.